In previous years, Medicine Lake Road in Golden Valley was a common spot for flooding. But despite all of the rainfall this spring, that appears to have changed. Even as the forecast projects yet another rainy week, Medicine Lake Road has stayed dry. As Emily Haugen reports, work from the city and the Bassett Creek Watershed Management Commission seems to have changed that.
It's a wet week, or month for that matter.
This spring has experienced more rainfall than we've had in several of the recent years in the last decade.
That rain means potential flooding. Longtime Golden Valley residents near DeCola Ponds are too familiar. Some parts of the road would flood up to 5 feet high, making it impossible for cars to pass through. City engineer Michael Ryan says it's a problem the city's faced for years.
Historically, there's been flooding in the area, including Medicine Lake Road and some of the infrastructure and buildings nearby.
But today, Medicine Lake Road drivers don't have to fear flooding anymore. Crystal, New Hope, Golden Valley, and their project partners came together with solutions over the last 5 years that Ryan says seem to be working.
While several of those years have experienced drought, these systems haven't really been tested until this year when we've received all of this rainfall.
The system, Ryan says, includes expanding DeCola Pond's storage level and adding more native plants.
That all really helps absorb some of the water with the deep roots that native vegetation tends to have.
The Liberty Housing Project nearby also added on-site flood storage. And today, watching cars pass by freely, Ryan says the hard work is paying off.
Being able to keep that dry because of these improvements and others going on in the city has really been critical to helping provide equitable access,
even as the rain continues to pour. In Golden Valley, Emily Haugen, CCX News.
You can check out what else has been done so far to improve DeCola Ponds on Golden Valley's website. We'll link that for you at ccxmedia.org. Credit a quick response by Brooklyn Park Police for arresting an armed robbery suspect. Brooklyn Park Police were called Monday evening to the 1500 block of Brookdale Drive for a report of a man pointing a gun at a woman in a business parking lot. Officers responded and spotted a suspect running from the scene. Police arrested the man and recovered a firearm. The victim was not injured. Jail records show the 20-year-old suspect faces charges for aggravated robbery and being a felon in possession of a firearm. There was a big gathering of police officers in Brooklyn Park on Tuesday, but they weren't responding to a crime. They were teaching kids how to fish.
And one of the things we love to do is connect with kids, and this was one of the first events that really did that.
The Brooklyn Park Police Department hosted its Cops and Kids fishing tournament at the Community Activity Center. It's a tradition that the police department started back in 2007. It introduces at-risk youth to a sport they may not have tried before. And it's also a chance for police officers to build positive relationships with youth.
It gives kids the opportunity to ask questions and talk to police in a very, again, low-key environment, but also it's fun and they get to learn a new skill.
Police officers from several agencies in the region participated in the tournament. A Robbinsdale resident is working on a mystery, one that has his readers hooked. As Ellie Tulkey reports, this Fridley special education teacher is working on a new novel, the third in his mystery trilogy series.
They were being watched, and the person inside the vehicle had plans for them, but they were completely oblivious to this.
Nicholas Grady is a man who loves mystery. And during his spare time, this Robbinsdale resident writes mystery novels.
When they finally reached the park, they had a wonderful time, catching snowflakes on their tongues and running around on the jungle gyms.
Grady has published 2 novels, and a third is on the way, rooting from his curiosity for local places.
These very dark, creepy, quiet places, and it started giving me ideas for a new, what I thought was going to be a short story.
This one's pretty cool. It's actually pretty large.
Grady says a lot of references in his first book, Under the Bluffs, are from things he actually saw exploring abandoned caves in St. Paul.
There's a point in the first book where they're searching this cave looking for evidence of the missing children, and they come across this full-size trampoline that's been set up inside of this cave, and that's actually still there.
Grady says people were ordering Under the Bluffs from all across the world, selling more than 450 copies.
I expected to sell maybe 100 copies of the first first book and that might be the end of it. And instead, I'm reaching this audience.
And after plenty of good reviews, Grady knew he wanted to publish a sequel.
The reviews were very positive. People really liking the book, and it was selling a lot more than I thought it would have.
Now, Grady is focused on editing his third book with hopes of publishing it in April.
People that I know as well as people that I don't know, for the most part, have really enjoyed the books.
In Robbinsdale, Ellie Tolke, CCX News.
Grady will appear at Wicked Wart Brewing in Robbinsdale on July 26th for a book signing. Finally, this segment, art inspired by nature and Minnesota's historical landmarks.
I think it's the colors, that brilliant red up against the greens, the warm against the cool. It really makes it pop.
You're looking at art inside the Robbin Gallery and its latest exhibit, Close and Far. You'll find art that embraces historical maps as well as art celebrating nature. And if you look closely, you may notice all the art is done by pen and ink.
And they're both really beautifully done, very colorful, and it's a very interesting show. I would suggest that anyone come in to see it to really see some of the great art that's being done in the Twin Cities these days.
We'll leave you now with more of Close and Far, which runs through this Sunday, June 23rd.